This marks the second part of the third season of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous seasons, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 200 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin our recap video for today's manhwa. As the countdown to the Grand Canyon invasion continues, tensions rise. Dal, frustrated at not being selected as a second-generation reinforced soldier, throws a tantrum in the cafeteria. Knut comments, "That bastard keeps causing scenes because he wasn't chosen," while Dmitri adds, "Only those at level 3 for over a year were selected, with Lee Han being the exception." Han reflects on his new role as leader of the Alpha Squad. A few days later, Han gathered the Alpha Squad for their first mission. He explained that the official goal was to eliminate the minions, but the true purpose was to familiarize themselves with the psycho frames and improve their teamwork. Before Han could outline their formation, Mus, an rank psyker from South Africa, interrupted with a laugh, claiming that he could handle the minions alone and questioning the need for a formation. Han thought to himself that while Mus was talented, he was concerned about his tendency to disregard orders. Amir, another squad member, reminded Mus that the mission's real focus was on teamwork and mastering the new equipment, not just defeating minions. Mus brushed it off as a joke, but Han remained uneasy, realizing that while Mus and Amir were as skilled as Simon or Knut, their reluctance to follow his lead posed a challenge for him as their leader. As the Alpha Squad prepared for battle, Silence noticed Han deep in thought, recognizing that he must have many concerns about the mission and his team's dynamics. Moments later, as they approached the minions in formation, Han began to issue commands, planning to tackle the minions with silence. However, Mus interrupted enthusiastically, declaring it was time to play, and surged ahead at full speed, disregarding Han's orders to slow down. Despite Han's attempts to maintain control, he had no choice but to order the rest of the team to max out their jump packs to keep up with Mus. Charging ahead, Mus encountered a group of werewolves and, with a laugh, declared his intent to annihilate them. He aimed his weapon and began firing rapidly, taking down the werewolves one by one, displaying second-generation psycho frame formidable combat skills, but also his impulsive nature. As the other members of Alpha Squad arrived on the scene, Han ordered them to cover Mus. Suddenly, he noticed a massive creature with a gaping mouth and thought it was a dragon. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was a basilisk, a formidable minion ringleader capable of flattening tanks. However, with their second-generation psycho frames, the squad could handle it. Han quickly commanded Silence to engage the basilisk, with Amir providing support, while he moved to assist Mus against the werewolves. Amir, using his psychic abilities, controlled 7 Airbits 3 to distract the basilisk and 4 to aid Silence in the air. Impressed by Amir's skills, Silence used the Airbits to maneuver swiftly and then blinked to deliver a decisive strike, killing the basilisk. With the basilisk down, Han and Mus continued to eliminate the werewolves, successfully clearing the area. Han then assessed the situation and declared it clear, instructing the team to deactivate their psycho frames and rest until the cargo aircraft arrived. As the squad relaxed, Mus looked at his gun with excitement, clearly thrilled by the improved gun power. Amir questioned Mus, asking if he was deliberately ignoring orders again. Mus shrugged it off, saying it was fine since the mission was complete. He then pointed to his gun, marveling at its size, which had increased with the psycho frame, and expressed his thrill at taking down minions with it. Han called Mus's name to regain his attention, to which Mus replied, acknowledging Han's leadership. Observing his team, Han reflected that while the amount of dragon material might be lower than expected, everyone handled the new psycho frames impressively, showcasing their elite combat skills. However, Han realized his main challenge would be learning how to effectively control and lead such a powerful team. In the next mission, the Alpha Squad encounters 2 Ellis hunters controlling a pack of werewolves. As the werewolves charge, Han and Amir swiftly eliminate them with precise gunfire. Silence uses his blink ability to instantly kill one of the Ellis hunters. Meanwhile, Mus, wielding a dragon blade, charges at the remaining hunter, declaring it his target. Despite the Ellis attempt to defend himself with psychic shields, Mus effortlessly slices through both the shield and the Ellis, who collapses dead. Turning back to his team, Mus remarks with a grin that it was too easy, expressing that the battle didn't even make him nervous. After Alpha Squad finishes checking the area and finds no more enemies, Han declares the situation clear and informs the team that a cargo aircraft is on the way, urging them to rest. As they sit down, Miss turns to Amir and asks if he finds being a supporter boring, suggesting they bet on who can kill more minions next time. Amir declines, pointing out that Miss only asked him because Miss knows he can't compete with Silence. Miss, taken aback, challenges Silence to a bet instead. Han reflects on Miss's attitude, understanding that the ease with which they handle minions has led to a lack of tension. He recalls the times when battling a single werewolf was life-threatening and contrasts it with their current dominance. With a serious expression, Han addresses Miss and Amir, acknowledging their elite status but emphasizing the need for trust. He stresses that in real battles, they must put aside their pride and follow his orders without question to avoid endangering the entire team. After returning to Ark, Mus dismissively tells Amir that with 8 second-generation psycho frames in operation, they have nothing to worry about, even if faced with multiple dragons. He expresses annoyance at Han's authoritative demeanor, insisting that their abilities are sufficient. Amir counters that Han is the squad leader and has valid points, but Mus insists Han should relax. Overhearing this, Silence grows angry and considers physically confronting Mus. However, he restrains himself, recognizing that they cannot change squad members or function effectively as a 3-person team. Silence decides to let it go for Han's sake and moves away. Meanwhile, at the Grand Canyon, preparations are underway for the foretold invasion in 5 days. Various Ark forces are setting up tents. Inside one tent, Derek anxiously questions the mention of a nuclear missile. Knut explains that, given the location away from urban areas, tactical nuclear missiles may be used to eliminate the minions. Derek expresses concern about their own safety, but Mitri reassures him that they will be equipped with environmental shield suits for protection. Knut, concerned about the effects of the environmental shield suits, jokingly asks if they'll turn into monsters with horns and tails. Kuro retorts that they're already monsters. Annoyed by their banter, Del tells them to stop talking and head to their bunkers, accusing them of being distracting. Knut, irritated, confronts Del, questioning why he's taking his frustrations out on them and insinuating it's because he wasn't chosen as a second-generation reinforced soldier. This provokes Del, who angrily challenges Knut to repeat himself and suggests they settle it outside. Knut agrees, and both leave the tent. Derek watches nervously and wonders if they should intervene, but Mitri, smiling, suggests they go watch the confrontation. Meanwhile, back at Ark, the Oracle awakens in a hospital bed, reflecting on her frequent seizures and contemplating the ease of death. Suddenly, her eyes turn red, and she envisions a silver dragon. At the Grand Canyon, as Knut and Del were about to fight, a surge of psychic energy gathered in the sky, capturing everyone's attention as a dimensional gate began to open. Meanwhile, back at Ark, Alexander Lacouri, frustrated, slammed his hand on the table, exclaiming that the event was happening 5 days earlier than prophesied. Han and his squad, equipped with the second-generation psycho frames, prepared to deploy as they received their orders. At the Grand Canyon, a dragon was emerging from the dimensional gate. In his office, Alexander watched anxiously as the Oracle rushed in, and an announcement declared that both the Alpha and Blue teams were ready for launch. The Oracle, breathing heavily and drenched in sweat, realized that not only had the date of the prophecy changed, but the entire prophecy was now different. She speculated that the change was due to the presence of a silver dragon. Shortly after, a black dragon emerged from the dimensional gate and attacked the silver dragon, leaving both Oracle and Alexander LaCory in shock. Observers reported that the black dragon was devouring the silver dragon, specifically targeting its psychic core. Mus, bewildered, questioned how one dragon could kill another, while Han urged the team to remain calm, pointing out that they now only had to face one dragon instead of two. As the black dragon engulfed the silver dragon's psychic core, the dimensional gate vanished. The on-field personnel reported to headquarters that the dimensional gate had closed. Alexander LaCory confirmed that only one dragon remained and that there were no minions present. He then ordered the Alpha and Blue teams to commence their operation. As the black dragon unleashed a surge of psychic power, it enveloped itself in it and flew toward the squads to attack. Han commanded the Alpha squad to release their air bits and focus on targeting the dragon's left wing. Afterward, the Blue team would aim for the right wing to begin Phase 2. Han designated Silence as the primary striker with his assistants, while Mus would work with the Blue team to distract the dragon. Amir was assigned to support from the rear. Alexander LaCory, observing the situation, reassured that there was no need to worry, noting that Han had previously killed a dragon named Jupiter alone. Jupiter is the code name for the gold dragon that Han killed. Alexander LaCory continued with 8 second-generation soldiers now. They were confident of victory, unless the black dragon was significantly stronger. The Oracle watched the fight nervously, hoping for a successful outcome without casualties. On the battlefield, the Blue squad diverted the dragon's attention by firing at its head and urged Silence, the striker, to target the wing. Silence used his blink ability to attack swiftly, but the dragon dodged, causing him to fall. Han quickly intervened, grabbing Silence and an airbit to redirect him towards the dragon. Thanking Han, Silence used his blink ability again, swiftly cutting the dragon's left wing. Following this, Han ordered all strikers to attack simultaneously. Using laser wires to latch onto the dragon, Han and the other strikers propelled themselves at high speed, successfully severing the dragon's other wing. At Ark headquarters, everyone celebrated as the dragon fell. The Blue squad advanced with airbits and jump packs, eager to finish the mission, quickly moved toward the dragon. Mus, watching them, grumbled about the Blue squad getting all the credit and urged Han to join the action. Later, when they landed and saw that the Blue squad hadn't beheaded the dragon yet, Mus was relieved, eager to beat them to it. However, Han sensed something amiss, questioning why the dragon seemed so weak. Realizing something was wrong, Han quickly ordered everyone to back away from it. At Ark headquarters, Alexander LaCory watched the dragon struggle against the second-generation Psycho frame, laughing and declaring the Ark project a success. Oracle hoped everything would end smoothly. On the battlefield, the Blue squad armed themselves with dragon weapons, ready to finish the dragon. As they advanced, Alpha squad landed, and Han urgently shouted for everyone, including the Blue squad, to back away. Mus, frustrated, demanded to know what the issue was. Han cautioned everyone, emphasizing the need for vigilance when things seemed too easy, suspecting a potential trap. He urged them to analyze the situation, stressing that if he was wrong, they could laugh at him, but if right, lives were at stake. The Blue squad leader asked Han what he intended to do. Han proposed waiting until the dragon regained consciousness. The Blue squad leader dismissed this, stating they would proceed and take the dragon's head themselves. Angry, Mus cursed and moved toward the dragon, unwilling to be outdone. Amir called out to Mus, trying to stop him. Mus insisted to Amir not to stop him. He wanted to finish this quickly and rest. He urged Amir to think for himself instead of blindly following orders. Amir, surprised, questioned Mus, but then decided to follow him. Despite Han ordering Amir to stand by, Amir chose to side with Mus, saying he agreed with him for once. As the Blue squad and 2 members of Alpha squad advanced to behead the dragon, Han watched with concern, hoping he was wrong about the danger. Mus, Amir, and the Blue squad prepared to strike, while Han and Silence kept their distance, anxious about the potential trap. As they simultaneously swung their weapons at the dragon's head, they were unexpectedly attacked by strange weapons that pierced through the second-generation psycho frame. Mus, on the verge of death, exclaimed in shock, questioning where the attack came from as he saw the weapon that had pierced his chest. Han quickly ordered Silence to retreat, realizing they were under attack but uncertain of the source. Meanwhile, the Ellis warriors revealed themselves, having used invisibility to ambush the Blue Squad and two Alpha Squad members. Han recognized their tactic and realized the extent of the danger they were now facing. The Ellis warrior leader, clad in full armor, commanded his troops to charge at Han and Silence. Han prepared his spears and warned Silence of the incoming attack. As the warriors approached, they activated their capes to become invisible, heightening Han's concern. Han realized he needed to predict their positions based on their speed. He targeted their likely locations with his golden fist, emitting electricity and revealing several invisible warriors. Following Han's lead, Silence used his blink ability to swiftly eliminate 5 more. However, noticing that one Ellis had evaded his attack, Han remained on high alert, questioning the whereabouts of the opponent. Han noticed an attack and quickly ducked, narrowly avoiding a strike that destroyed his helmet. Realizing the attackers were using dragon weapons, he thought, only those can break a psycho frame. An Ellis warrior poised to deliver a final blow, and Han knew he couldn't dodge in time. Just as the warrior swung, Silence intervened with his blink ability, severing the warrior's hand and saving Han. Seizing the opportunity, Han killed the Ellis, expressing gratitude to Silence. With only one enemy remaining, Han focused on it. But then the black dragon suddenly regained consciousness, roaring loudly and making him nervous about the renewed threat. As the dragon roared, Han thought it's using a dragon fear attack. Silence began trembling, haunted by memories of being paralyzed by Bahamut's dragon fear, but resolved not to make the same mistake again. When the Ellis warrior turned invisible, Han warned Silence that they are coming. The dragon charged, swiping its claw, which Silence dodged by leaping into the air. As the dragon prepared to strike Han, he used his jump pack to evade. Thinking it safer to attack from closer range, Han rushed toward the dragon, planning to engage more deeply. Silence, after leaping into the air, used his blink ability to swiftly attack the dragon from above. Meanwhile, Han prepared to thrust his spear into the dragon's neck, but his spear was unexpectedly cut in half by the invisible Ellis leader. Shocked, Han was kicked to the ground by the Ellis. As the dragon's claw came down to attack him, Han narrowly dodged by leaping backward. Silence examined the shallow wound his blade had made on the dragon and realized that his weapon couldn't penetrate deeply enough to be effective. After leaping backward, Han crashed to the ground. Before he could get up, the Ellis prepared to strike again. Han quickly used his jump pack at maximum output to dodge the attack. Turning swiftly, he deployed a laser wire to ensnare the Ellis's hands. Using the laser wire and his jump pack, Han propelled himself at high speed, slamming into the Ellis and bringing both of them to the ground. Before the Ellis could recover, Han grabbed its dragon weapon and killed it instantly. Han turned to see the dragon concentrating psychic energy. Silence was attacking the dragon's head, attempting to kill it, but the dragon prepared a breath attack aimed at Han. Realizing the danger, Han tried to use his jump pack to dodge, but it failed. As the dragon's attack closed in, Han accepted his fate, closing his eyes in resignation. The dragon's breath hit the ground, creating a canyon. However, Han was shocked to find himself alive. A person who wearing a second-generation psycho frame that saved Han remarked on the dragon's immense power. Noting the newly formed canyon, he told Han that he has done well. It's too early for him to die. The Omega Squad will take over now, surprising both Han and Silence. Seeing the psycho frame in shock, Han recalled his conversation with John earlier about the remaining psycho frames. John had mentioned they were reserved for emergencies, but seemed uneasy about the explanation. He hinted at the existence of another squad, warning Han not to delve too deeply out of curiosity, citing the danger it posed. Han had pressed further, referencing Zhaw's claim that Ark had eliminated children they were nurturing 6 years ago. He questioned if they too would face elimination if things turned against them. This angered John, whose eyes turned red with frustration. Using his combustion ability, John retorted, questioning if Ark had the luxury of time to dispose of them amid their current crisis. In the present moment, Han ponders whether Ark might have used various methods to dispose of the children mentioned earlier, considering it doesn't necessarily imply they were all killed. He speculates if the Omega Squad members could be the surviving remnants of that project. Suddenly, two launch pads land on the dragon's arms, causing it intense pain. Two more members of the Omega Squad emerge from these launch pads. The leader of the Omega Squad, who had saved Han earlier, addresses Silence, calling him Skull Mask, and asks for his assistance. The Omega Squad leader instructs the team to aim for the dragon's neck while he attacks the core from another angle. Together, they swiftly execute their plan and successfully kill the dragon within moments. Witnessing the Omega Squad's efficiency, Han is astonished by their capabilities. After completing their mission to eliminate the dragon at the Grand Canyon, they return to Ark. Silence seeks out John and expresses his desire to meet the members of the Omega Squad. John warns Silence about the Omega Squad, describing them as dangerous felons who had killed their instructors and comrades. He reminded Silence that one of them could have been responsible for shooting him in the head, questioning whether he could remain calm when facing them. Silence acknowledged holding them accountable but assured John that he wouldn't instigate a conflict. John expressed regret, stating he was tasked with dissuading Silence from meeting the Omega Squad, at least for now. John emphasized that the Omega Squad were considered monsters who had abandoned their humanity. He admitted not knowing how Ark was currently controlling them, but insisted it was something Silence shouldn't witness firsthand. Silence left John's room and removed a bug hearing device from his pocket, asking Han if he had overheard the conversation. Meanwhile, in his own room, Han contemplated what he had heard. He reflected on Sergeant Red's information, considering that Alexander LaCorey might be the one truly in control, not Jurgen Teller, who seemed compromised. Han speculated that Chief of Staff would likely become the new commander once the war began, and he wondered about the Omega Squad's origins under Ark's secretive projects. He questioned Alexander LaCour's motives and goals. In another part of Ark, John appeared visibly distressed. He grappled with guilt and shame, acknowledging his earlier characterization of the Omega Squad as inhuman monsters. He blamed Ark, including himself, for their creation and the situation they were in. Despite his internal turmoil, John resolved to endure until the end of the war, hoping desperately for its conclusion. The scene shifted to a mission where the Alpha Squad had successfully killed a dragon and completed their objective. Knupp reported that the area had been reduced to complete ruins, making it uninhabitable. Meanwhile, at Ark headquarters, Alexander LaCorey watched the mission unfold on a screen. He commented on the current members of the Alpha Squad, noting their effectiveness. LaCorey mentioned that they had successfully repelled 6 attacks since the Grand Canyon incident. However, he also remarked that this marked the 3rd occasion where the prophecy had proven inaccurate. Oracle speculated that the shifting prophecies were influenced by the appearance of silver dragons, suggesting they alter the future akin to a railway changing its course. She noted that silver dragons had been killed by dragons of different colors, hinting at a possible enmity between different dragon species. Alexander LaCorey summarized that each color of dragon possessed unique abilities, with silver dragons potentially being linked to the opening of dimensional gates. He observed that silver dragons seemed to have distanced themselves from their own kind for unknown reasons. Sasha added that despite extensive research on captured Ellis creatures, previous information on dragons was scarce, highlighting a significant gap in their knowledge regarding these creatures. Alexander LaCorey emphasized that they had no choice but to accept Oracle's prophecies, with their only option being how they reacted to them. He proposed swiftly deploying Black Crow and preparing for what he referred to as the finale. Meanwhile, Han detailed the current state of Ark, explaining that the organization had undergone a significant reorganization. They had ceased recruiting new members and lacked time to train young psykers. Many psykers who had been serving as instructors were reassigned to combat roles or returned to their home countries. At the same time, Wei Chen, the weapon instructor, decided to return to his homeland. John approached Wei Chen, questioning his decision to leave. He expressed surprise, mentioning he had expected Wei Chen to stay, especially after forming bonds with the children he had been teaching. Wei Chen sighed and bid farewell, leaving Ark. John watched as Wei Chen departed in a helicopter. Meanwhile, at a mission site, a red-colored psycho frame named Red 2 led his squad. Red Squad, gathering minions while luring them towards a target location. Red 2 estimated about 200 minions, while Red 3 reported around 300 approaching from another side. Red 4 confirmed a similar count of 500. Red 2 reprimanded Red 4 for not taking the situation seriously, emphasizing the need to focus. Despite the numbers, Red 4 expressed confidence in their squad leader's ability to handle the gathered minions. Upon arriving at the target location, the squad leader of Red Squad concentrated psychic energy, conjuring flames that incinerated all the gathered minions instantly, reducing them to ashes. A little later, after the Red Squad had taken a break before the cargo aircraft arrived, one member marveled at their squad leader's abilities. They admired how Jose, revealed to be the squad leader, could unleash incredible firepower that selectively burned only their enemies. Meanwhile, at Ark headquarters, Alexander LeCory observed the mission on screen and expressed disbelief at Jose's prowess in eliminating all the minions at once, finding it impressive. John commented on combustion as a valuable skill in large-scale battles against minions. He acknowledged Jose as the most skilled user of this ability he had encountered, praising his effectiveness in such combat scenarios. John reflected on Jose's ability to conceal his true power, noting that Jose had deliberately kept a low profile despite possessing formidable skills like combustion. Jose had started in Class D and remained in Level 2 longer than necessary, only revealing his true capabilities during survival training. John worried about Jose's current state, hoping he wasn't in danger. His thoughts were interrupted when Alexander LeCory asked Oracle about the status of the prophecy. Oracle updated them, revealing that the next attack would target Ireland's Dingle Peninsula, involving a large army of minions and a dragon. LeCory decided to deploy both the Alpha and Red Squads for this operation, indicating their strategic response. Meanwhile, Han resolved not to let anyone die during the upcoming mission, determined to protect his team. Jose, reflecting on the upcoming mission, vowed to send all adversaries back to hell, driven by his determination and skill to combat the approaching threat. Han reflected on his uncertain identity, pondering whether his surname was Li and given name Han, or if he was simply Li Han without a surname, a detail that is not clarified in the note attached to his bassinet. Meanwhile, when Han was 10 years old, he ran away from someone and was reprimanded by the person, who called him a goddamn rascal. At that moment, on the TV screen, the interviewer welcomed everyone and introduced Major Kang Bayan, the director of Ark Korea, along with Mr. Jang Gi-jo, recognized as Korea's first psyker. Major Kang expressed his belief that once the Dragon War concluded, psykers could become valuable assets to the military. He stressed the importance of increasing their numbers by any means necessary, considering the possibility of a future psycho war despite their current common enemy. Han is urgently running through a busy area where screens are displaying an interview with Major Kang. As Han dashes past, another person, presumably a pursuer, also attempts to follow him but is visibly exhausted and gives up, angrily shouting a threat to Han before abandoning the chase. Han continues his escape and eventually reaches a back alley, where he pauses to catch his breath. However, His moment of respite is abruptly interrupted when someone grabs him from behind and throws him to the ground with force. Han, now confronted by a thug, who called him with his full name Lee Han, and is demanded to hand over a bag that he presumably possesses. In response to the thug's demand, Han defiantly asks what would happen if he refuses to comply. The thug, amused by Han's defiance, acknowledges his courage and survival skills, hinting that he knows about Han's past and his siblings' whereabouts. This revelation makes Han visibly nervous, as the thug implies a threat to Han's siblings. 1 month later, Han is seen following an elderly person who is carrying a bag. When the old man notices Han, he turns towards him. Han, startled, tries to conceal his face to avoid being recognized. The elderly man then reaches into his bag, causing Han to tense up in anticipation. However, to Han's surprise, the old man pulls out an apple and offers it to him. This unexpected gesture shocks Han, causing him to momentarily question the old man's intentions. Han hesitates, thinking to himself not to be deceived by appearances and wondering what might be hidden in the bag. Despite his suspicions, Han impulsively rushes forward, snatches the bag from the old man, and flees the scene. After finding only apples in the bag he snatched from the old man, Han reflects on the old man's kindness, feeling a sense of disbelief at encountering such genuine generosity. He questions himself, wondering when he will stop feeling worthless. Suddenly, the thug who had confronted him a month ago appears again, accusing Han of abandoning his siblings and failing to pay a protection fee. The thug threatens Han, mentioning the concept of interest and implying harm to Han's siblings if he doesn't comply. Han defiantly replies that he has already moved his siblings to a safe place and challenges the thug to try and harm them. The thug scoffs at Han's bravado, dismissing him as having nothing and threatening to kill him. Unexpectedly, Han bolts away, leaping from one rooftop to another as the thug gives chase. Despite the rain starting to fall, the thug continues relentlessly, shouting insults and demands for Han to stop. After a prolonged chase, Han spots a red signal at a railway track and decides to use it as a means to escape from the pursuing thug. However, before he can cross, the thug grabs hold of him and prevents his escape just as a train approaches. In a desperate struggle to free himself, Han manages to break free and inadvertently kicks the thug in the face, causing him to fall onto the tracks where he is fatally struck by the oncoming train. Han, shocked by the outcome, realizes that the bag of apples he had stolen indirectly led to a person's death. Later, Han finds himself in police custody. A senior officer questions why such a young kid is involved in such a serious incident. A junior officer explains that Han was present at the crime scene, but the senior officer raises doubts about whether such a small child could have physically pushed a grown man onto the railway tracks to his death. The junior officer clarifies that Han's presence was detected by a psychic sensor at the west entrance, which led to his apprehension. The senior police officer approaches Han, expressing regret and explaining that they suspect he might be a psyker. He assures Han that they've alerted Ark to send someone to verify this. He asks Han to be patient during this process. However, before the officer can finish speaking, Han interrupts him, demanding to speak only to Major Kang Daeun personally. He insists that he has nothing to say to anyone except the highest-ranking authority. The senior officer is taken aback by Han's audacity and demands, wondering who this defiant and determined young person is. In the present moment, Han reflects on his determination to protect his siblings and friends at any cost, feeling resolute in his mission. He vows for his siblings and friends, he will slay all the dragon. This marks the conclusion of the second part of the third season of this manhwa. The third part of the third season will be uploaded soon. To show your support for the channel and help speed up the release of recaps for your favorite manhwa, please consider subscribing to the channel. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.